Hi everyone, it's me Joe, and today I'm doing the long-awaited before and after video. Jesus Christ. Now you guys have been asking me to do this for a minute, and I've been kind of waiting to do this with Narushka, because Narushka is my lady who does my face, and I've been working with her for 4 years now. No, was it 4 years? It must be 4 years now, what a long time. But we've been basically working on building up my face. Now, when I first went to Narushka, it was 2000 and... I think it must have been 2012, the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, and now we're in 2017, that's a long ass while ago, isn't it? But I went to Narushka after a lot of concerns about my face. Now, you guys may not know the backstory of this because you may have not watched my old videos, but I actually had quite a crooked nose. And in all my videos, I've horizontally flipped the camera, so you're seeing a reflection as if I was looking into a mirror. Now, the reason I did this is because where my nose was crooked and it stuck out to the right here, all of this side of my face looked as it should, but this side looked like it was wonky. So when I would see my face back on the camera, it just became a bit of an, I don't know, it just was something that I became very insecure about very quickly, and I did a vlog about this, which I'll pop here. And as things went on, I started to get a little bit more confident talking about it. And when I spoke about it in videos, people said, oh my God, I've never heard anyone else talk about it like this before. This is exactly what I feel. And it's a very common thing. And it's about the fact that we are so kind of like used to our image that when we actually see a reflection of it, we sometimes don't realize that it's us, because our faces are all asymmetric. And especially if you have a broken nose, it's not something that you can kind of like control. And part of the reason I stopped modelling was because I didn't like the fact my nose looked crooked after a while, and that's when I kind of stopped when I turned 18. And that's kind of the behind the scenes of it, really. So you guys have asked me to do a proper before and after, because I've done them gradually bit by bit by bit by bit, and here are some pictures on the screen. Now, I've never thought that I have an ugly face, or I felt like my face isn't what it should look like. I've always known what I look like, and I've never wanted to change it. So my whole blueprint and the way I kind of proposed doing my face, if you will, to Narushka was, this is the side that I like, I want this side to match. So I literally had feature by feature by feature built up in a way that would create symmetry. Now, this is what a lot of celebrities have been doing behind the scenes for years, and they haven't really mentioned it. People like Gaga have been quite extensive with this, especially in American Horror Story. She actually had quite a lot done to her face that's now gone down, because these fillers are malleable. They're things that can be injected and then can be dissolved. They're things that can be done instantly. There's not a lot of downtime. So every time you see these puffy faces on the red carpets, they've probably just gone for an injection or two, and there's lots you can do. Now, I have never gone under the knife on my face because I didn't want to change the way I looked. I've always been confident with what I look like. I just didn't like the fact that my nose was broken. So that was the first bit we went through. Now that my lights are even, you can pretty much see that my nose is very straight. I've always had quite a small nose, and my profile has always been straight. I've never wanted it to be different. I've never wanted it to be smaller. I like the fact that it looks like my family's nose. But I did not like the before, and the before, as you can see in the picture I'll pop on the screen now, was very crooked at the base. Now, the base, it was almost like it had collapsed and wilted like a flower without water in, and what the base of the nose does, or the septum, this actually pops up your nose. So if your nose has any deviation in it, you can actually get filler injected in that part, and instead of it being deviated like this, it plumps up like this. So what it did to my nose is it brought my nose to the centre of my face, and that was my main concern. Now, every time you go under the injections and you have something put into your face, what your body does is it builds a wall around the injection. So whatever you actually have becomes encapsulated by scar tissue or collagen. So although the filler itself can be dissolved, the scar tissue can be built up, built up, built up, and you'll produce more collagen. So after a while, you don't really need to go back, because what's actually being built up is the scar tissue from the filler, and you don't need the filler anymore. So for example, in my nose, all the little divots that were crooked here, all of this bit, I've never gone back and really touched it up. We have very minor sometimes, we probably put less than a millimetre in, I think, when I last went. After a while you don't need to, because the scar tissue does the same job as the filler would. So it's a very sensible and more appropriate way of making your nose look straight if you have minor issues with it. I don't think that you can get a proper full-on effect of a dramatic nose job, but you definitely can see the results. Next on my list, when the nose was fixed, all of this side was my concern because I didn't want it to be different from this side. I'll show on the screen when I look this way versus this way, so in half profile, you can see that my cheekbone on my left side was always very prominent and on my right side it was very, very shallow. Now, I used to always get compared to David Bowie, especially because I had the Aladdin Sane haircut. So on this side, I found it kind of like, I don't know, I never wanted to be photographed from there. I'd always pose like this or in profile. And what we did is we started to build up my cheek here. As well as my cheek, we also built up under my lip here, which again was shallow. And my lip almost kind of like tilted downwards. We've gradually pushed it up at the side. And all of this area has kind of been filled and built up in layers. And this is the result. So there isn't that much filler. I wouldn't go back to have more filler in this side. This is just what it looks like now. You can pretty much see there's much more symmetry. Next on my list of things that was asymmetric was my eyelid. Now, one of my most popular videos on my channel has been how to glue your eyelids. This is a technique I actually learned from my kangaroo friends and living in Tokyo for a minute when I was younger, because in all the magazines like Egg, they would show you how to actually open your eyes with the effect of glue or tape. So these were methods you could actually use just to stick your eyelid in a different place, so when you're looking straight on, you look like you had a full lid. I never did. I always looked like I had one full lid and this side was more sleepy or more hooded. And what we did is the muscles in the face go like a hand pulling up and down. Narushka basically froze all the muscles that pull down, so when my eyelid moved, it could no longer go down. It retrained the way I expressed that side of my face. So a couple of injections of Botox have permanently fixed my eyelid. Now, I've never gone back and had any more Botox ever. So Narushka's always like, you're one of these people that you just don't need to use a lot on you because you're gonna see immediate results. So that's basically what I've had done. Then what we've had done since is, as I've got older, I've noticed I've looked a little bit more tired. This is just something you go through when you're early 20s. So I've had my under eyes, which are called the tear troughs, filled. And as you can see, it gives you much more of a flat appearance of makeup, especially in under eye concealers. And because I don't have much movement in my forehead naturally, there's no Botox there, my first area of aging on my face would be my under eyes. I probably have more crow's feet than I would forehead lines because I just don't move my arm. I literally don't have much muscle in my forehead at all. So that's what I've had done, and then from there I guess you would say we can move on to the treatment I've had recently. And the recentest treatment I've had done is actually called bruxism. When I was younger, I actually had my teeth done with braces. I had quite extensive retainers and they stretched my jaw, and they moved my jaw from an underbite to where it is today, but almost at a twist. So instead of it being exactly the same fit as it was before, it's kind of at an angle. So I started to grind my teeth on one side, and I noticed that because I was grinding my teeth in my sleep, this side of my face in maybe the videos from last year looked more prominent. Now this was an issue for me because actually I noticed my teeth feeling a little bit funny and being a little bit more sensitized, but then on top of that I also noticed that my face swelled up here. So what I did from there is we injected Botox in the muscle that we grind our teeth. This can be done at a dentist if you actually don't want to use a dental guard, so it's more of a health one, and what we've done in the past, I don't know, 4 months is watch it go down. I recently just went to get the second injection just in this site, and really it doesn't feel like anything. None of these injections have hurt me. The most uncomfortable for me was when we used a cannula, which is a blunt needle. So to avoid bruising in areas like the under eyes or the cheek, you make a little hole in the side and you use a blunt needle under the skin. It just avoids all the tissue and you don't get any bruising. And also because it injects from the side of the needle, it becomes more of an accurate application. If you just inject straight down from the top, the actual bit that injects is going to shoot off at the kind of angle you can't control. So that was the only bit that I wasn't so keen on, and that was more so because I had loads of acne scars under my skin. You can't see them because they've been lasered down, but underneath the skin there's a lot of scar tissue, so trying to wiggle it around the scar tissue was a bit of a painful one. When it touched the bone it was a bit painful, but that's kind of it. Now, I chose to do this initially to feminize and even my face. I was living every day as a girl and I thought it was a more appropriate choice for me than to go through extensive facial feminization, because to be perfectly honest, I think some of these people that have got facial feminization have gone way too far with it. Your face does not stop growing until you're in your 30s. So to get your face reduced dramatically when your chin or your cartilage is still expanding as you grow is a bit of an unwise option, because when you get everything chopped down, you're going to notice a distortion from the original design. You're not going to notice the same proportions you got when you first done your facial feminization. And although it's very useful for reaching the goals you have in mind for yourself, I feel like they've been advertised more as a quick fix for transgender dysphoria, which I don't think everyone necessarily needs. I think people are come in different shapes and sizes. You can get people with a petite jawline, you can get Angelina Jolie with a much more squarer jawline. So these characteristics that we think of boy and girl aren't necessarily things that are, they're not always the same. It depends on your background, it depends on your features, and it's basically we learn gender on a holistic approach. So we actually learn gender as we grow up. We can identify things like, oh, that's a feminine face, that's a male face. Our subconscious puts a dictionary together, and I've spoken about this in my Boy to Girl tutorials in the past, but men and women's faces aren't specific. There isn't one design for a woman and one design for a man, because you can compare someone like Lily Cole and Alec Weck. Do you know what I mean? They're both beautiful examples of femininity, but with very different features. So it's just something you have to really work with yourself. And for me, I always think, don't ever, just because you want one cheek to be bigger, don't get both of them done. Do you know what I'm saying? Or don't get, for example, if you feel like this side of your face is a wrinkle in, you have to put something in the other. I would keep the features you like as natural as possible and get the bits you don't like touched up to match. Aim for symmetry, not necessarily for change, and you won't look overdone. You'll look more symmetrical. Always go less before you go extra, because there's so many people with very big lips at the moment I don't think necessarily fit their face. And also be aware that although you do have the ability to dissolve the filler, it's not necessarily going to be just gone, because you still have the scar tissue that it was kind of encapsulated around it. And as you notice, when people get their lips done, they're going to start looking like they have a piece of tissue under their philtrum here, because it moves up. So next on my list of things to actually talk about is what I'm getting done next. Now, for my personal journey and where I'm going with reaching affirmation for my gender, I want to be able to live every single day in full control of my body. And the issues I've had so far is that I haven't been in control of my body. Through diet and exercise, I can't reach the goals I have in mind because I have different chromosomes to regular guys. So I'm actually in a different spectrum together than a lot of these trans YouTubers, because my end goal isn't to be Caitlyn Jenner from a Bruce. I never was a Bruce to begin with. I was always very passable from an early age, and I went to school and used female gym classes and female toilets, and people always called me her, even when I had a stubble, or I popped to Starbucks and they called me ma'am. So I've never had an issue with assimilating, which isn't necessarily my goal but has been my experience. And for me, I would like to actually be able to do whatever I want whenever I want to, and I can't do that at the moment. I can reach the goal I want to achieve as feminine Joe, but as masculine Joe, my torso doesn't look like a guy's and will never be able to look like a guy's. So the next journey I'm going to actually reach is actually getting the breast tissue that I unfortunately grew naturally removed from my torso. So this is something that has been affecting my confidence since back in the day, like literally like since I've been probably 14, this has been affecting me. So to now know that I'm 26 and this is something that I'm going through and dealing with is unbelievable, because we're going to be showing the whole process on my YouTube. We're also going to be getting the base of my torso kind of more of a masculine shape. So I don't want that anymore. We're going to make everything flawless, and then I just want a little bit in the top of my butt so I look ridiculous from behind. You know, me little my craziness added to the added to the pie, but that's my goal, and I'm super excited to be doing that in Beverly Hills from August. I'm so excited to be working with an amazing doctor, and I searched high and low for the right guy because I knew that there were so many people, especially in the UK, who have not got the same experience. And I saw this guy online, and I will do a full interview and we'll do a full process of showing you the before, the aftercare, and you guys can see how it gets done, because that will be so good for me. And then then afterwards I can reach my goal of being complete, and I can move into the next quarter of my life as I'm meant to be. So I'm so excited about that, and I'm so glad you guys have come to me on the journey of this, because I didn't know that I'd be able to do this with my work, let alone have this done. So the fact that I get to go and experiment and try all these procedures for you guys, and there wasn't anyone showing this stuff online when I started, because I make content that I can't find. That's part of the thing I wanted to do with my YouTube. So I'm super grateful you guys get to see everything, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So definitely check out Botonics. They are my highly street practice. Narushka is absolutely quite phenomenal, and I know so many people have gone from my videos to Botonics because I get told all the time about the fun people. But I hope you guys have seen that what I've had done wasn't necessarily to change my face, but to reach me or my a more comfortable version of myself. And the things that I like the most about my features are the things I've always had. I've always had big lips, as you can see from my baby photos. I've always had a funny little nose. I've always had big eyes, and I just wanted to make sure that although my nose was crooked, it was able to be fixed in an appropriate way that wouldn't change me, and I would still look like my family, and I would still look like me. So I hope that helped you. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. Hopefully that will do as a before and after, because I know you guys think I've had some sort of face transplant sometimes. But I got to go. My friend's here, so I'm being a little bit rude doing my video, so I have to run. But I will see you guys all soon. Take care.